Imagine playing Genshin and you just pulled an early 5-star. You're excited, while at the same time anticipating who you'd get, fantasizing the teams you'd use for your new Durin, before getting hit with that feeling we all know so well. Yup, another 50-50 loss. To make things worse, you just got Diluc for the 7th time. Congrats! You've now just experienced the two sides of Durin. And to avoid the dark side, you need to like this video. Alright, excuse my bad storytelling, but this is actually relevant to Durin, and you'll know why when I get into explaining his kit. With Durin's release coming soon, I got to try him out early, and he honestly opens up the door to a lot of different teams, and especially with characters I haven't used in a long time. This makes Durin a pretty valuable character, and I can't wait to show you what he could do. Just a disclaimer that everything you see in this video was recorded on a test server, and does not reflect the final version. So please refer to the official release for the final content. Without further ado, let's get started. So I'm a pretty slow learner when it comes to learning characters' kits. So usually I have to test the characters out myself to get used to them. At first when I tried out Durin, there was a lot to take in, especially with a new Hexarite system being introduced that plays a huge part when building teams with him. So I'll try my best in explaining it in Voltyea language. Going back to the 50-50 story I talked about earlier, Durin has two different forms that each have their uses. When using elemental skill with Durin, he enters a transformation state where you get to choose which form to take. Pressing the elemental skill button again will make Durin enter light mode, or pressing normal attack instead will make Durin dark mode. The mode that he's in will give his elemental burst different buffs. During his light mode, Durin's elemental burst does coordinated AoE attacks, while the dark mode does coordinated single target attacks, and both will follow the active on-field character. Depending on which form Durin is on, his Ascension talents also provides buffs to your team after Durin uses his burst. For light form, after party members trigger Burning, Overload, Pyro Swirl, or Pyro Crystallize reactions on an opponent, will deal Pyro or Denso damage to an opponent affected by burning. The enemy's Pyro res and the res of the element involved in that reaction are decreased by 20% for 6 seconds. To simplify, basically, when triggering pyro-related reactions, except for Vaporize and Melt, your team gains Red Shred for both elements involved. So if I use Durin's burst and facial triggers Overload onto an enemy, both Electro and Pyro res for that enemy will be decreased. For Dark Form Durin, his Vaporize and Melt damage are increased by 40% after the burst. Another Ascension talent basically increases Durin's elemental burst damage based off his attack, with one stack increasing the damage dealt by 3% for every 100 attack Durin has, with a maximum of 75% additional damage, which means if you have 2.5k attack, it gives the max 75% additional damage. Last but not least, Durin also has an additional talent, Witch's Eve Rite, Ode to Ascension, in which Durin will become a Hexarite character. When a party has at least 2 Hexarite characters, you will gain the Hexarite Secret Rite effect, which increases the light manifest of the Divine Calculus Ascension passive by 75%. This means the light form Red Shred increases to 35%, while the dark form Melt and Vaporize damage increases to 70%. So there's one thing I want to briefly go over before we dive into showcasing Durin is the Hexarite system, which is a new system coming in Luna 3 that works very similar to the Moon Sign system in Nocry, where if you have 2 of the new Hexarite characters in the party, you'll be able to gain certain buffs, depending on the characters. So first, I want to demonstrate Durin without any other Hexarite characters in the team. We'll be fighting this Cryo Regisvine, and I'm doing around 3,243. And after I broke the shield, around 15,000 damage, and then 9,000 damage. So yeah, damage is pretty nice and all, but I want to see how much of a difference it will make if we bring another Hexarite character in the team. So let's move on to a team with Venti. So as you can see, we got the Hexarite Secret Rite, because we have 2 Hexarite characters in the party. And if you don't have Venti, don't worry. There's also other Hexarite characters as well that you can see on the screen as of Luna 3. Let's just see how much damage we'll be doing now. So the Prior Regisvine still has its shield. I'm doing around 3,500 this time. And after I destroy the shield, 17,000. So a pretty solid increase in damage for sure. And that's without Venti even doing anything besides just being in a party. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick demonstration off of that to keep in mind when building teams. And speaking of teams, since Durin is a pyro character that can be slotted off-field, since his pyro applications are pretty nice, there's a bunch of teams I want to go over today, and I sadly can't go over all of them because we'll probably be here forever. So I just want to showcase a few teams I've personally tried out and kind of enjoyed playing. But for the first one being the on-field DPS Overload Durin. And that's a pretty long name, so I guess for simplicity, we'll just call it on-field Overload for Durin. And this team is actually one of my favorites because we can actually get to use Durin on field. And normally I try out characters' teams with world bosses, but since Durin team is pretty strong, I think we can just jump straight into local legend and just see how well this team will be able to perform. So yeah, with a majority of teams you see, I'll be using Durin in the light form, which outside of Vaporize and Melt teams, you don't really use Dark Durin, so yeah, we'll be sticking with light Durin. I'm not really doing much. I'm kind of just doing my rotations pretty normally, and the boss's HP is already like shredded by half, which is actually pretty insane to me. And this team is my personal favorite because I'm mostly just using 4-star characters, because Durin is like very easy to play in here. You don't really need to worry about reactions that much. Just gotta keep your buffs up with Chevres and Bennett. And you pretty much just let Durin automatically dispose of the bosses for you. Thank you for the artifact drop as well. Okay, let's just find a sucker. There it is. We'll see how much damage you'll be able to do. This boss probably isn't gonna last like any rotations at all. So get our buffs up. And pretty much normal attack swing, since my Bennett is C6. He's able to infuse Durin's normal attacks. Boss is basically dead. And that is why I'm sticking to local legends. So next, I'm going to try out a DPS Vaporize team. But we do have Farina, Shironen, and Bennett, which are all very, very good support characters. So since we have Farina, I'm using the Maoshise Hunter set now. And also I'm using the Finales of a Deep Weapon. So this is a pretty free-to-play build for Durin. And we'll just see how much you'll be able to do in a Vaporize scenario. Let's try out this Nathlon local legend. I'm curious to see how this will go. This team is definitely very, very burst reliant as well. So hopefully the boss doesn't move that much. Okay. I actually did like the light mode. I'm seeing like around 50k when I'm properly vaporizing. It's definitely harder to vaporize though with Durin because the applications might not line up correctly, especially when Durin's the main DPS. Alright, but let's try this again. This time we'll be using the Durin dark mode. So we use normal attack after the initial elemental skill. Yeah. Damage wise, I'm doing like around 58k. I believe that is with Vaporize. Even though Durin could be worked as an off-field character, I really like to be on-field with Durin because we get to take advantage of his very, very nice looking attack animations. Alright, I think I saw a 90k, wow. 70k Vaporize, that's good. I kind of just forgot how to attack because I'm just like sitting back and looking at the pretty effects of Durin's burst. Let's try this again. Definitely like vaping a lot faster. 43k. Oh, I need to aim towards the boss actually. There we go. I made a few changes. I'm going back to the classic teams. So we're using Albedo for the Hexarite buff, and also Shincho because he can provide some nice hydro application. So with this team, we have double Hexarite, including Albedo. So Durin should be able to do a little bit more damage. I'm going to use a Dark Durin as well, and then just kind of normal attack. 111k I saw. Vaporize, wow. I guess we'll just go back to the basics and go Shincho, because this definitely works the best so far. I'm actually having a lot of fun with this team, so let's see how well we'll perform against Raiden. Raiden actually moves a lot as well, so I gotta like move it back in the Albedo circle. And hopefully Raiden stays on top of my Bennett circle as well. Wow, there's so many different numbers. We have Hydro, we have Geo attack as well, and also, of course, Pyro. Now, Beto's damage is actually very good as well. Alright. I'm hoping I can finish the boss off before she does anything else. Yep. Durin's burst came in clutch at the very end. And it's still going. Wow. Alright, next, let's try out Durin with a melt team. It's kind of hard to melt with Durin, so I'm bringing double cryo just for faster cryo applications. And yeah, just see how this team will do. So we'll be trying out against this weekly boss. In the beginning phase, we'll just be fighting the boss itself, which is always the nice part. Okay. I'm hoping my cryo applications are good enough. So, see my burst damage? No, the boss ran away. I did manage to hit like a 130k melt, which is great, I guess. Let me get my burst back as well. Yeah, not bad. This team might be a bit difficult to play, but the melt damage is very, very satisfying. Let's try like a full rotation. I'm just hoping that the enemies don't really move away from my attacks. Okay, that's a pretty good burst position. Now I'm just gonna stand still. 130k again. 90k. Yeah, very nice. It's over. Now I gotta restart my rotation. I think my energy is pretty good in general, so I'm getting my energy back for my burst. Pretty much every rotation. Okay, that time it was a little bit scuffed. Be a good dragon and stay put.
Nope.
And of course it disobeyed. But at least we got like a pretty nice chunk of melt damage in. I think melt teams are a little bit difficult to pull off for sure, but if you like to see big giant melt damage, then feel free to try these teams out. Alright, so we're moving on to one of the first sub-DPS Durin teams, with my personal favorite being this Navia team. This team works because we have an Albedo for the Hexarite character synergy, and also Bennett for buffs, and Navia for big damage. I feel like a lot of teams all consist of Bennett though. So yeah, he's definitely very important in a Durin team. And we'll be trying out this team against the Capybara boss. This boss hits a lot harder, so with a nice trade-off of it being like more tankier, so we'll be able to see multiple rotations of our damage. Alright, let's try this again. Hopefully I can get a crit with Navia. 200k. Nice. 150. Yeah, damage is pretty high. And also, like, with a bunch of off-field characters like Albedo and Durin both also contributing to my damage. Alright, boss is at half HP now. Great. 200k. Lots of Geo attacks as well because of Albedo. And yeah, this Capybara is not living up to his name because he never dies. Well, he's about to die in like 10 seconds. Let's finish it off. Oh, I lied. One more time. Yeah, as someone that's usually scared of this Legatus Golem ruining my runs in the Imaginarium Theater, I feel like with this Durin team, I don't have to be afraid of it any longer. Because we pretty much can just destroy the shield, shred it pretty quickly. And by the time the shield goes down, yeah, boss is about dead as well. Wow, so much things going on. We have Navia's burst, Durin's AoE pyro damage, and also Albedo's. So how can we try Durin without ever doing the burn team, huh? I'm gonna be tackling this big lava ball with the Kinich team. This one is gonna just be a pretty simple burn team. Let's see how much damage you'll be able to do. 100k, okay. Pretty nice first blast, especially when this lava ball has resistance still. Yeah, I'm seeing like around 160k. Oh, that was pretty quick. I almost don't want this to be over because I haven't really properly tested out my damage just yet. But yeah. Kinich barely got a chance to blast the boss. Alright, maybe this will be a bit more challenging. Let's see. See if we can finish the boss before she runs away. 170k. Yeah, pretty nice damage overall. Missed my crit, unfortunate. Boom. Wow, okay. Alright, so the next thing will surprise you because we're finally not using Bennett anymore. Instead, we're using Mona because she is a Hexarite character, which will benefit Durin's damage and his buffing. So yeah, Molani Vaporize. Let's see how this will go. And this team might be a bit unconventional as well because I'm not going to use Durin's dark mode. I'm using Durin's light mode because it has faster pyro applications. So yeah, hopefully I get to Vaporize for a few 100,000. Okay, yeah. Pretty nice, 300,000. Oh, I didn't miss. I don't know where my burst went. Unfortunate. I think Durin can finish the boss off though. Or I guess Molani can. Okay, so I found another local legend. And hopefully this will go well. Hello. I'm not ready yet. Ow, that hurts. Again, I'm also using the light Durin because the pyro applications are faster, which makes it easier for me to vaporize. Alright. Kind of messed up, but it's fine. My burst still got the boss. This boss actually moves around quite a lot as well, so it makes it a little bit difficult to hit her. But we're still getting some nice damage in, which is a relief. This is helpful that this boss is also providing Bond of Life on me. Alright. Let's hope I crit. Nice. Okay, Mona is down. I think I kind of lose out on damage with Mona being like gone. But it's fine. As long as we get to finish the boss off. And I stand corrected. We didn't have a good time at all. But it's skill issues, I know. So I want to move into the Abyss. And the first team on the trial is the Animal team, which consists of Venti, Wanderer, Farzan, and Durin. This team doesn't really have any sustain, so I gotta be kind of careful. But hopefully it won't be any problems here. There's 65 enemies. Alright. Well, at least I'm getting some free melts here. And with Venti being able to pull the enemies in together, this team works out pretty well. Gotta be careful of taking damage though. Because each damage I take, I cannot get back. At least in this chamber, because I don't have any sustains. But so far, it's going pretty well. Wanderer is doing pretty high damage as well because of the Hexarite buff. Venti we get like 50% damage bonus as well when his burst is up. Alright, second chamber. We have a bunch of these Spectre enemies. Let's try out Venti as well. I think I'm doing damage. Whoa, that's so satisfying. Like, enemies are getting grouped up together. With Durin also auto-targeting the enemies. This team is OP. Farzan also contributing to a lot of my damage for sure. But this is just oddly satisfying to me. Yeah. I think ultimately though, floor 11 is pretty easy for Durin's team. So there's no struggle at all. Alright. I think Venti's burst is also very, very good now. Lasts for quite a long time. And overall though, I think Durin definitely synergizes well with Venti because his burst attack also auto aims at the enemy. So even though the enemy is in the vortex, Durin is still hitting them. Alright, floor 12. I'm gonna try this Mono Pyro team. This team is pretty self-explanatory, just basically pyro. We'll see how this will work though. Hopefully Durin can carry us. Clay is also another member of the Hexarite characters, so she'll be able to buff Durin and also herself because of it. There's 41 enemies here, I actually didn't realize it, but luckily they're all like just common enemies that we see. And this team is great because we don't really need to worry about reactions that much. The only thing we just gotta worry about is basically like damage and see if we'll be able to kill the enemies fast enough. But so far so good though. We managed to clear half of them already, while Klee is still kind of cleaning house. Okay. But 3 enemies here that should be able to be easily grouped up by Durin. Yeah, so far I don't think I have any issues at all. A lot of pyro numbers though. It's kind of confusing as to what I'm looking at, but I'm doing good, so no complaints here. Feels like the enemies are not even attacking. Like they're just standing here staring at me, kind of in awe by my damage in general. Kind of serves them right though. It's like my revenge. Alright, put up a shield, no problem. Klee can still destroy it pretty quickly. Alright, what else do we have? Okay, there's 1 enemy at the very end, which is not really groupable, so at least it's not moving that much, so I'm able to still get off some pretty nice damage. Don't think there's any problems though at all. Yeah, nice and easy. Okay, Durin has his burst up, so it should be fine. There's 7 opponents this time. Maybe we'll be expecting a boss here. I kind of miss Klee's playstyle, so I'm glad I'm able to use her again. Alright. Hopefully we can just permanently stagger the enemies. Not bad. Scoop them up with Kazuha again. Great. Alright, got both of the samurais up. And this chamber is not bad. Unless they're just surprising me with a boss at the end. Then we'll have a problem. Otherwise though, pretty chill. Mono Pyro without any reaction is definitely like just stress-free. Don't need to worry about anything that much. Okay, this Drake is kind of like just hovering in midair, but I think that's fine. I'm gonna save my burst for the last chamber. Yeah, perfect. We got all of our bursts up. Alright, we have all of our bursts up for the final chamber, so that's pretty good. There's a boss here, which benefits Durin's team. So let's see if Mono Pyro will be able to just provide enough pyro to the point where nothing can really stop us. Okay, I got melted, which kind of hurts. So watch out for that attack. Well, I did like so much damage. And this boss is also weak to pyro attacks, which is good. Can't really see anything because Klee is a little bit short. So I'm getting buried by the boss. Ow. Got melted as well. Let's not let the boss charge up like that. Alright, just chill. Durin definitely helped out a bunch. And Mono Pyro actually worked out really well. Alright. Ultimately, we still got all the stars, so yeah. Alright, we're gonna be challenging the Stigian onslaught with Durin. Okay, so it looks like Isaurian. Did it get lost or something? What's it doing here? Like, I kind of feel bad fighting Isaurian because we're both kind of like winged creatures. Durin has wings as well. This Isaurian also has wings. So, yeah, it's harmless. Like, yeah, this team is definitely doing a pretty good job though. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, it flew up. Okay. I mean, Durin is perfect for this boss because I'm able to just provide a lot of pyro damage, especially against enemies in midair as well. No problem for me at all. And then normal attacks, I'm doing like 15k damage easily with the overload. All right. Whatever you're trying, don't. Oh. Wait, just hovering in the air like this. Okay. Well, I'm not even looking at you and I'm damaging. I'm dealing damage without it. No, don't go away. I was kidding. Fine. I mean, Shervis could probably shoot it as well. Yeah. Well, that was pretty fun. After playing Durin, I definitely had a blast, especially with his flexible playstyle. I still have a lot of teams in mind that I'll try out once he officially releases. But if you have any Durin teams that you want to share, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video. Consider subscribing if you want to watch more content like these. And and watch this video that the YouTube algorithm thinks you should watch by clicking on the video here.